the moment it's just you. Fawzia said she will join, but I don't know where she is right now. Okay, khair, let's just start, inshallah, and she'll join us as we continue. All right. Okay, so let's get started. So our topic for today, quite a simple one, but we're going to be looking at duals and plurals. So, okay, so we're looking at duals and plurals.
Assalamu
Okay,
alaikum.
mashallah. Fawzia says, oh, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so we just started, and our topic for today is duals and plurals. As you know, with the af'al, with the verbs, you have memorized the tables, and in those tables, we did the singular, we did the dual, and we did the plural. Now, that's with the verbs. With the nouns, we also have plurals, duals, and plurals. So that is going to be our session for today. So when it comes to nouns, so we're not talking about verbs now. When it comes to nouns, we can have what's known as mufrad, which is the singular. We can have the muthanna, which is the dual. And then we can have the jam'un, which is the plural. Okay, so those are the three when it comes to nouns. Now, the singular we've covered. So what we've taken so far, but the singular was very straightforward. So what we will do, we'll straight away go into the dual. I'll go start away going to the dual. Now, with the singular, if I wanted to say, let's say he is a teacher, I would say huwa,
Oh,
yeah, I would say huwa muallimun. He is a teacher. Nice and simple. He is a teacher. We're talking about one person. Now, if I want to say the dual, I want to say they, but I'm referring to two. Okay, they are teachers. How do I do that? So the first thing that we've got to do is get the right pronoun. So the right pronoun for the dual is huwa. What comes after huwa?
Huma.
Huma. Good. Yeah. So we got that first bit right. So huwa huma, which tells us we've got two. Now, it's very simple. When we want to go from singular to dual, when it comes to nouns, we simply add an alif and a nun. Okay, we simply add an alif and a nun. Ani. Okay. And this is in the rough case. You should know what that is now. We mentioned, but now there are three cases. Rafi' is when your word ends in a dhamma. And then we've got nasb and we've got jar. We'll get to that in a few moments. So we've got to look always at the three. All you got to do is you take your word. It's very, very simple. You take your word and you add alif wa nun. So you say huma. So look, there's our normal word. Muallimun. Yeah, that's our normal word. But that's singular. So we want to make it dual. So the way we make it dual, okay, the way we make it dual is, let's get that back. Okay, the way we make it dual is by adding a alif and nun. Okay, sorry. Muallim, so we've got to do is add a alif and add a nun, and that's it. So muallimani. Okay, so Bear that in mind. Okay, معلمان. So that's how we say two. Okay, and as I said, that is in the raf case. That's in the raf case. So how do I know that معلمان is in the raf case? By this alif. So if in the singular case, we've got huwa muallimun. How do I know that muallimun is in the rough case? Because of the dhamma. We done that already. That's the default. But if it's dual, there's no dhamma. So how do I know? You know because of the alif and nun. More specifically, the alif. Okay. So that's the first thing. That's very important. The Quran is full of jewels. Okay. Now let's move on then. So that's the rough case. If we move on then to the nasb case. Okay, nasb case. So I want to say, for example, if I said fahima, fahima mualliman, he understood. So that's the fahima part. He understood a teacher. So you can clearly see that the mualliman, that's your maf'ul bihi, meaning your object. So in the singular, we know an object or maf'ul bihi by the fatha. Mualliman. Okay, mualliman. Now, what if I want to say he understood two teachers? So he understood two teachers. So the he understood part ain't going to change. That's going to remain as fahima. That's fine. But how? What do I say now? What do I do now? So to go from this to this, we need to add, okay, we need to add a ya and a nun. And it'll be a ni. Okay, it'll be a ni. So the same word muallim, but we add a aini at the end. So it will become,
معلميني
yeah, muallimaini.
ميني.
Yeah. So you add the ya and the nun. Okay. It's important that we pronounce that. So muallimaini. Okay. So in the singular, where I say fahima mualliman, if somebody was to say, how do you know that the mualliman is the مفعول به is the object? What would you say? What's the sign? فهم معلما. What's the sign there that معلما is the object?
It has nasab on it.
Good. Yeah, there's fatha on there, so you can see there. Now in the dual, there's no fatha. So this time فهم معلمين. So how do I know that the word معلمين is the object? Because of the ya. Okay, that ya is telling me that is mansub. It's nasb. Last case we've got to do. The last case we've got to do is the jar case. Okay, jar. Now, in the jar case, let's say for example, min. What do we say? Min muallim. Min muallimin. Okay, there's only three cases: dhamma, fatha, kasra, rafa, nasb, and jar. And we got to always think about that with nouns. We got to always look at them in those three phases, because that's the only way we would know what role that word plays in the sentence. So min muallimin. Okay. So now so this means from a teacher. So nothing new here. We covered this like months ago, so there's nothing difficult here at all. Okay, min muallimin. Now I want to say from two teachers. Here comes the easy part. We do exactly what we did previously. Aini. Okay, so the min remains the same, and we would do the exact same thing. Muallimaini. Okay. And again, if somebody was to say to you that if we look at the word muallimin, I know that the word muallimin is jar because I can see the kasra, it's there. But then with muallimaini, how do I know that word is jar? I say again because of the ya. Okay. Good. All right. Got that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Straightforward. Just all you've got to remember is in the dual, you add the alif noon in the raf, in the nasb and jar case, you add a ya noon. That's really it. Okay. Now, let's continue. Um,
But
yeah, go ahead.
how would you recognize, because ya noon in both of the cases are nasbi and jar, so how would we know somewhere is nasbi or is jari?
You would know that by looking at what comes before. So if you look at that word, for example, muallimaini, you got a min before it, so you know that's jar. Remember, we said the only two times when
Oh,
something is jar is because either you got a preposition, a harf jar before it, or because it is mudafun ilay. Okay?
yeah.
All right. So let's carry on then. That's that. That was the jewel. Okay, done. Now the only thing we just need to like make a note of. Okay, if you have a singular word and it ends in a ta marbuta, okay, it ends in a tun at the end, so it's a female word. So for example, if I want to say a female teacher, okay, if you have a female teacher, what do we do in this case? Okay, straightforward, nothing difficult. We've got to open up that tab. At the moment, that's a closed tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it up. Okay, we're going to open it up. So we don't want a closed one. What we want is an open one. So it become, yeah, so we ended up with muallimata. And then we do the same thing. We add the alif and noon, ni. Okay, before. Okay, and then when you put it all together, you would end up with there we go. Okay, that's a female teacher. Okay, that's just a side note. So if you've got a word that ends in a tun and you want to dual, you just have to, you can't throw the ta away, you got to keep it there, but just open it up. Otherwise, if we don't, how do we know it's a male teacher or a female teacher? So it become muallimatani. And in the nasb case, muallimataini. And in the jar case, muallimataini. Okay.
Can you please write, because we need to look back the notes, so can you please write Mullimataini as well here as a nasbi?
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
So you'd get معلمتين. Okay, likewise you would get معلمتين. Okay, right, good. So we've learned how to produce the dual, male and female words, raf, nasb, and jar. So now that's all there is. There is nothing more to it. Okay. Now what I want to do is just show you some usage. It's fairly obvious, but with some examples. So
Oh,
when we use a dual word, we've got to make sure that whatever we use to describe that dual word is also going to be dual. So what I'm referring to is if you've got a noun and an adjective, yeah, so if I wanted to say two new books, for example, okay, so what would be the dual, well, how would I say two books? Okay, what would I have to say? So we've got the word kitab is one book, yeah, but if I want to say two books, what would I have to add to that word?
kitabani.
That's right, yeah, add the alif and nun. Yeah, so kitabani, that's two books. That's all you every time. And this is obviously in the rough case, there's no, it's not an object here, nor is there is a preposition before it. So we always go to the default. Now we want to say two new. So we've got two books. Now we want to add an adjective to that. If we want to add an adjective to it, okay, the word is jadid. You've memorized that already, jadid. But we can't say that because the kitabani is two books, jadid is one. So we need to make it match. How do we make it match?
Jadidani.
That's right. So you have to do the same thing with the adjective as well. They have to agree in all four ways. Okay. And another obvious point is if I wanted to say, for example, two men, okay, let's say, for example, two men, in English, I have to add the word two. Yeah, so in English, it'd be man or men. So if you got two in English, you have to say the word two men. But in Arabic, you don't need to say that. Because if I say to you, for example, huma rajulani, okay, by reading the word rajulani with the alif and nun at the end, you already know there's two. So I wouldn't need to say huma rajulani ithnani. You don't need to do that. Okay?
Do we have to write Huma with Rajulani as well? Because is this
You don't have to, no. No, I just wanted to make a sentence there, but you don't have to. No. Okay, so the very fact of the point that I'm making is by using the dual, you don't need to add the number. In English, we have to say two men, so we need to add two in there, but we don't need to do that. Even when we do the singular, for example, if we want to say one book, you don't need to say in Arabic one. By the fact that you said kitab, automatically has one in it, unless you want to emphasize. And when you say kitabani, you don't need to say two books. It's understood by the fact that you said kitabani. Okay, good. Right, so we've covered that, and that's it.
so, the above you wrote Jama'un as well. So what are these for Jama'un?
Yeah, we're coming to that now. Okay, so this is the dual. We've covered the dual. What we're going to do now is jama'. I'm just going step by step. Okay, so we're going to do the plural now. So before we go to the plural jama', so that's the muthanna. So I want you to just be familiar with that before you go ahead. So when we got the dual, you add alif and noon or ya noon or ya noon. Yeah, so remember that. And if it's female, we keep the ta inside. Now, draw a line here. The dual is totally done, so you can change gears in your heads and move over to the next part, which is al-jam'u. Okay, al-jam'u, which is the plural. Okay, is the plural. Now, when we do the plural, okay, when we do the plural, there are three types of plural. Okay, so let's list those out first. We've got jam'u, jam'u taksir, taksir. Jam' we know is plural. Taksir, kassara yukassiru taksir, which is the master of form two, which means kassara yukassiru means to break. So this means the broken plural. Okay. It's very, very easy. It's just the division and the title just makes it look long. Then we've got what's known as al-jam'u. Again, it's a plural. Al-mudhakkiru. Okay, al-jam'u al-mudhakkiru. Mudhakkir means male. As-salim. Salim means sound. So it's not broken, basically. Taksir is the opposite of salim. So it's not broken. So we would write this as the sound masculine plural. Okay. And then the third one would be al-jam'u. Okay, al-jam'u al-mu'annathu as-salim. Okay, which is the feminine sound plural. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the three. So let's start then with the first one. Jam'u taksir. Krisha, are you with us? Hopefully you are.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, sorry. I've got drilling in the back, so I'm trying not to put my mic on.
Okay, that's fine. Now, as long as I know you're there, you haven't fallen asleep.
No, 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 I'm here.
Okay. So let's carry on then. So we've got Jam'u taksir, the first one. Very, very easy. What that basically means is in order to produce the plural, we have to break the mufrads. Okay, in order to produce the plural, we have to break the mufrad. We got the word in its singular, we break it, okay, and we put a letter inside, or we take a letter, and then we produce the plural, and that's it. So, for example, if we've got the word baytun, yeah, a house, okay, a house. Now, the plural of that, which is houses, is what?
Buyutun.
Yeah, so it's buyu. Yeah, so we've got the bu. Yeah, so that's there's nothing there, but then we have to add in a wow. Okay, and then we bring back the ta. So buyutun. So why is this called jam' taksir? Because we had to break the singular to get the plural. Okay, and the opposite applies as well. So for example, if I've got the word kitab, Kitabun is a book. Okay. Now, if I want to say books, what do I do? In this case, I would say kutubun. Yeah.
How do you understand there is wow added and the below one there is just three letters?
Yeah. So the answer to that question, so the first thing is to understand the concept is Jam' taksir. So we know that this Jam' taksir, these plurals, we get this plural by either taking a letter out or adding a letter. So we've shown how to add and also shown how to take away. That's fine. Now, the good question you asked, how do we know? You don't know until it come across it. There's no formula. We don't know. So you have to just read, and the more you read, you'll find the word. And if you want to find the plural, then you go to the dictionary. So you'd go for ba ya ta baits, and then you go to the dictionary, and it will give it to you there. It will say buyutun, and then if you look for kitab ka ta ba, you find the word kitab, and next to it you'll find kutubun. It'll give it to you. So either by discovering it through reading or by looking up in the dictionary. There's no formula to find out. Okay, good. And the other thing with these,
Ustad,
sorry,
if you go to dictionary and you say you see baytun and then you have like 10 forms, and
yeah.
after that where do you find baytun? Is it in a noun?
Yeah, so bait is obviously a noun. So you're not going to look in the 10 forms, you look inside and then
Oh,
you'll find it. So I will give you an example just a moment, yeah? Now, if you the other thing with this is that these words, jam' taksir, they behave normally. Yeah, they behave normally. When I say normally, I mean in the rough case, you'll find dhamma. In the nasb case, you'll find fatha. In the jar case, you will find kasra. So they behave normal. There's nothing new to learn. So we're done. That's it. Jam' taksir is finished. Number two. Okay. Number
and
two.
can it come in like single haraka as well, like, or just is gonna be double, like intervene?
Some odd words you will find them. The mamnu' min al-sarf words. We did that last week. I think it was no, the week before, which was called the diptone. Those words come with only one. Other than that, everything else comes in two. Okay, so
In
the
Jama,
words that we know as diptotes, al-mamnu'u min as-sarfi, they're in the notes, not last week because we didn't have a class last week, but the week before, they're there, inshallah. Okay,
but this is
now,
last week class, Ustad, right?
sorry,
This is last week class you're giving us. Like we missed it.
the week before. The week before that, we did what was al-mamnu' min as-sarf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So are you saying that in Jama, Taqsir, the majorities are with Tanween?
that's right. Okay, good. So here we got al-jam'u al-mudhakkiru as-salim. Yeah, that's fine. So now we're going to look at the sound masculine plural. Okay. So with this, we've got the rough case. We will have the NASB case. And we will also have the jar case. Okay, so let's do that. Okay. So in the singular, again, if I wanted to say he is a teacher, easy, we would say huwa muallimun. That's fine. He is a teacher. Now, I want to say they are teachers. The first thing I got to do is get the right pronoun for they. So huwa, huma, hum. Okay, so we got the hum. Now, to go from the singular to the plural, what do we do in this case? In this case, we do something very simple, which is we add a una. Okay, we add an una to the word. So you would have muallim, and then you add muallimuna. Muallimuna. There we go. And that is your plural. With the singular again, how do we know the word is in a rafa case? Huwa muallimun, with the two dhammas. In the plural, how do we know the word is in the raf case? Because of the waw. Okay, because of the waw. Muslim, muslimuna. Mu'min, mu'minuna. Okay, so you just simply add a waw and a nun. Right, let's do the plural then. In the nasb case. So if we have the word in the nasb case, we use the same structure we did before. So fahima mualliman. I don't need to explain that. You know that already. He understood a teacher. Okay, he understood a teacher. Now, how do I do the same thing but in the plural? So I would do the same thing with fahima. So fahima, I want to say he understood teachers. Okay, now what do we do in this case? In this case, we add a ya and a noon again, but this time pay attention. We are going to say ina. Okay, we're going to say ina. We're not going to say aini. We're going to say ina. So we will say fahima. Yeah, fahima mualli. Fahima muallimina. Okay, fahima muallimina. So bear that in mind. And with the singular, fahima mualliman. How did I know mualliman was the object? Because of the fatha. Easy. Now, when it comes to the next one, in the plural, how do I know that muallimina is in a nasb case? Because of the ya. Yeah, very easy. Last one. In the jar case, if we said min muallimin, from a teacher, same as before. What if I want to say now from, sorry, if I want to say from teachers, okay, in the plural, we do the same thing again. Okay, same thing. Min muallimina. Okay, you simply add the ya again. So in the singular, how do I know that the word muallimin is jar? Because of the kasra. And then how do I know in the plural? Because of the ya. Muallimina. Okay, muallimina. So don't get confused between the dual and the plural. The dual is muallimaini and the plural is muallimina. Okay, done. Last one, number 3. الجمع المؤنث الجمع um, الجمع المؤنث والسالم. Yeah, the sound feminine plural. Okay, this one is very easy. So when when trying to find the female plural, female singular words, they end in a tun with a ta. So we have to simply open that up and give it an alif ta. Okay. Other than that, there's no other difference. But I will show it to you in the rough case, in the nasb case, okay, and then also in the jar case. So let's have a look at that. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, so we've got the word, let's say, she is a teacher. So she is a teacher here. معلمة. Okay, here معلمة. Now I want the plural, and I want to say they are female teachers. So the first thing I've got to do is get the right pronoun. So here, هما, هن. Okay. Okay, هن. Now, the next thing we've got to do is with the معلمة, we've got to open it out. So it will become معلمة, معلمة, معلمات. So that's not a that's right. There we go. So معلمات. So with the female, you open up that closed tat and you just continue as normal with 2 dhammas. So it's a normal word, it behaves normally. All you got to do is just open up the closed tat and make an open tat. So from here, معلمات, it becomes هن معلمات. Okay. So now come to the nasb case. Same example, فهم معلمة. Yeah, so he understood a female teacher. Okay, so فهم معلمة. No, I want to say he understood female teachers. Okay, so the fahima would remain the same. Nothing changes there, fahima. And then we open up the muallimat. Now, what would you normally expect to do here? Normally, if you were to use logic, you would say fahima muallimatan. In this case, if we want more than one teacher, we would say fahima muallimatan. That's what our logic says, and that's what normally would be correct. But I have no answer to why, but that is not the case. What we do end up doing in this situation, in the nasb case, in the female plural nasb case, we don't say muallimatan. We say muallima. And that is very odd, but you have to memorize that. Okay, so you will never, ever, 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 ever find a female plural ending in a 10. Singular, yes, but plural, no. It's impossible. So when it's meant to take a fatha, it will take a kasra. That's just the way it is. So you have to memorize that because a lot of people, they struggle and they forget. Okay, now the last one.
So are you saying, Ustad, with alif ta either would be Dhamma or would be Kasra, but not Fatha?
That's right. Correct. Okay, so the last one from female teacher in the jar case. Min muallimatin. Now what I want to say is from female teachers. Okay, so from female teachers. So exact same thing, nothing min. Again, we open up the ta, and this time it behaves as normally, muallimatin. Okay. So the only weird bit there was the nasb case, fahima muallimatin. Okay. And that's in the Quran as well. You'll find, for example, إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات. Yeah, is nasb, but it's taking a kasra, kasra, kasra. Yeah, so that's just the way it is. So female plural, nasb will have a kasra. And you just have to accept that.
So these nasab, jar, and rafa, like plural and single plural, you said they're gonna be for ism, right? Not it's
Nouns,
not
yeah.
for
Yeah.
nouns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only for asma, yeah, nouns.
But for the verb, there is a different. What was
For the
that?
verbs, you've already done it. In
You
the
already,
verbs,
yeah, we
yeah,
already
kataba,
memorized
kataba,
the kataba,
katabu.
kataban.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So let me give you an example here so you can write this down with regards to what we've just said. Okay, so if I said in Arabic, so if we said ba'atha, yeah, ba'atha means to send. Okay, so ba'atha al-ustadhu, al-ustadhu. So you can see who's doing the action because of the dhamma. So the teacher sent. Al-banat, banat. So banat is referring to girls, but it's plural here because you can see it. Bintun is one, banat is plural. But he sent the girls. So the girls here are the object, the maf'ulun bihi. So your brain would assume that it would be like that. Okay, that would be like that, but that's not the case. Rather, this is going to end up going here. Okay, it's going to end up being that, and that's just the way it is. I don't know why. You can ask the grammarians of old. بعث الأستاذ البنات. Okay, so even though the word al-banati has a kasra, it is not jar, it is nasb. I'm purposely repeating myself because this is where a lot of people make mistakes. That's the object. Okay, and then if I wanted to add to that an adjective, for example, I want to say new students. Yeah, jadidat, jadidat. I would not say jadidat. No, I would not do that. That's impossible. I would say jadidati.
So you would match both of them.
You would match both of them, yeah? Because because of the um simply because of the open alif ta,
Right.
because it is al jam'u al muannathu al salim. And then you can just add anything else if you want to do al-bayti. Okay, so I'm going to write the translation. The teacher sent the new female, or the new, don't need to write female, the new girls home. Okay? Okay. Right. The next bit to make note of is another qaida or another principle. All the examples I've given you above are examples of female plurals that are aqil. Aqil, coming from the word aql, it means there are female plurals that are aqil, that are intelligent. They have the faculty of thinking. They are humans. Then you get words that are plural. Okay, they are غير عاقل, non-human plurals. Now, how do we describe them? Okay, I'll give you an example. So the qaida is non-human plurals we're going to treat them as feminine singular. Okay, this is how I memorized it. So if you want to do it another way, it's up to you. But what that stands for is non-human plurals. We have to pretend in our mind that that word is a feminine singular. Okay, feminine singular. What do I mean by that? Is that, let's say, for example, I'm going to give you something which is human plural. If I have the word malika, malikatun, that's a queen. Okay, queen. Now, if I want to say a new queen, I would say malikatun jadidatun. Okay, because it has to match. Malikatun jadidatun. They have to match. So there's nothing new there. I'm just giving an example. A new queen. Now, what if I've got a word and it's not aqil, غير عاقل. It's not, it doesn't have intelligence. How would I describe that word? Right, so if I said أقلام, that's the plural of قلم, which is a pen. So أقلام are pens. Now, what if I want to say new pens? How would I write new? Okay, so how would I write? So you know the word for new. New is jadid. Okay, jadid. But jadid is singular and male, right? Aqlam is plural. So there's no match. Okay. What we do here is when we look at this plural, aqlam, we come to notice that pens are non-human and they're plural, not one pen pens. So when we use words to describe this word, we have to pretend, okay, we have to pretend that the word is actually a feminine singular word, like we did with malika. Malikatun jadidatun. So we have to pretend now that this word, aqlamun, is feminine singular. Basically, all that means is that when we're going to describe this word now, we're going to say jadidatun. Okay. So bear that in mind. It's a common mistake people make. When you have non-human plurals, when you're describing them, you're going to use the female plural. Okay. Yeah,
So in previous, you told that they have to match all four ways, but
yeah,
here you have to just deal like as a female singular.
yeah. So the word aqlam, even though it is plural, but we're going to treat it as if it's a feminine singular word. Okay, in every aspect, even if you have a verb coming before it or whatever, everything has to match. We're going to treat it like a feminine singular word.
Oh, even the verb has to match as a female.
Yeah, so here, let me write this down. So this is a new pens. Okay, so if I said, let's say, um, okay, so let's say the pens dropped. Okay, the pens dropped. Now, the pens, alif wal lam, so we need the, so we got the pen. And then we want pens, aq, lam, mu. Okay, so that's, we got the pens part. Now, if I'm going to add a verb before it, the verb for drop is sa, qa, ta. Saqata. That's the verb for drop. But here the word saqata is male. And we said when we have these non-human plurals, everything we have to treat like it's a feminine singular. So if this was a feminine singular, so just imagine it's a feminine singular word, we wouldn't say saqata, we would say what? Saqa?
Saqatun,
Yeah,
saqa-
saqatat. Yeah,
saqat-
like we didn't kataba, kataba, katabu, katabat.
Yeah.
And why you will ask why we have to say saqatat? Because of this principle that when you have a non-human plural, we have to treat it in every aspect as a feminine singular. So this principle here above is very important. Non-human NHP equals FS. Non-human plurals are treated as feminine singular. Okay. When we practice and when we read and when we do questions, and it'll become very, very easy. Right now, because it's the theory, it just kind of sounds a lot more difficult than it really is. But when you start reading, you'll come to it and see it's easy. All right, we're nearly at the end.
So
Um,
if it's sorry single, then it has to it is fine. But if it is plural, then it comes to have female
that's
verb.
right.
Yeah.
So if I want to say, for example, the pen dropped. Yeah. So in this case, that'd be easy. You would just say سقط القلم.
Qalam.
That'd be male. There's no problem there. But the minute something turns non-human plural, then we have to treat it like a feminine singular.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we can draw a line there, take a little breather. Just this last part. Hopefully you got this last part. Okay, we looked at the plural. We looked at jam' taksir, which is very simple, where the plural is broken, and how we're going to find them. We said we will find them through the use of the dictionary. Let's see if we can do that. Okay. Okay, so let me just show you. Right, can you see the Hansware dictionary on your screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So here, let's take the word kitab, because we've done that already. So ka, the root words of three is ka, ta, ba. You look that in your dictionary, and then you come to the kataba. But as we said before, the word on the outside is plural, if'al. So all of these are af'al until we come to the end. Now, when we come to this end, hopefully you can see my mouse here. That tells me these are the end of the verbs. Now we want to go to the nouns, and the nouns are on the inside. Yeah, nouns are on the inside. You see, the verb is on the outside, go down, the noun is on the inside. And when you look at the inside, it says here what? Kitab. Yeah, kitab. And then you got the PL. The PL stands for plural. And it
Yeah.
gives you there the word with the transliteration kutubun. Okay, it
Oh,
gives you the kutub. So you could do that with any word and it will give it to you. Okay, so even if we go to the word, we were using pen, so let's say qalam. Okay, so look, there's the word qalama, okay, which is an actual verb. So it comes in form one, comes in form two. Now that's fine. We're not looking at verbs. We want the noun. So we come inside, and when we come inside, qalam, yeah, qalam. Now, what's the plural of qalam? Just keep reading. It says PL, which is the plural, and it gives the Arabic and gives you the transliteration, so you cannot make a mistake. It is aqlamun. Okay,
mm,
that's what every single noun, without any exception, every single noun. So you got all the tools there to work out the words. Okay. That's why I spent time in working out the root because you need the root letters, otherwise you can't go anywhere.
so sir, in beginning there are verbs in dictionary, and after that noun coming, and they all are nouns afterwards.
That's right. All are nouns, yeah.
All are nouns.
Nouns, and that includes adjectives, yeah, because adjectives are type of nouns as well, yeah. So you got nouns. Okay, good. So there you go. All of them, all these different. See, I'm just trying to see if there's any other new words.
So do musanna come in dictionary as well, like these dual?
No, because it's obvious. You just add alif and nun. So you don't need to keep going in the dictionary. Just add alif and nun and ya and nun. So there's no need.
Okay.
Okay, you just simply add the alif and nun and you'll get your word.
And
Okay.
for female, alif and ta.
Alif and ta. Yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't need to. Okay, so let's look at this, for example. The word qantara is a bridge. Okay, so here you got the word qantara, and the plural is qanatir. Okay, PL qanatir. So you get the arched bridge, stone bridge. And qantara is one of the bridges that we will have to cross on Yawm al-Qiyam. Just before people enter into Jannah, they will go on a bridge known as the qantara. So there we go. Okay.
Where are you, Christia?
I'm amidst the drilling right outside. I'm here.
Oh, I
Okay.
see.
You hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, this is that's why I put it on mute. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. As long as you, if you got questions, do ask. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So there now back to our notes. Okay, back to our notes. Not done yet. But you got the main. You got the bulk of everything we've taken so far. You know how to use a dictionary. So now you've got single, duals, and plurals. Alhamdulillah. Now the next thing is some practical parts. We want to look at the dual and the plurals in a idafa. Okay, so idafatu إضافة مثنى والجمع. Oops, والجمع. That's what we're going to look at. Basically translates as possession involving the dual and plural. Okay. When we normally do a مضاف مضاف إليه, كتاب الطالب. Okay. The word kitab, normally, if it's not in an idafa, it would be kitabun. If it's not in an idafa. But when it's in an idafa, what do we say?
I didn't understand.
We say kitabu. We don't say kitabun, we say kitabut talibi. This is all basic. We did this in the beginning of our course, months back. So we won't say kitabun at-talibi. We say kitabu, which basically means that when we put a word into the idafa, one of the dhammas disappears. Okay?
Yeah, but that's in the case of only if it's a definite, right? Then
Yeah. Okay, so the
but if it's
book of the student, and if you want to say a book, if you want to say a book of a student, you would say kitabu talibin. Okay. So that we discussed in key stage one many years ago. So that's done. So one dhamma disappears and you're only left with one. Okay, that's how we know we've got a mudaf mudaf. So bear that in mind. Now let's look at this. Number one. So we'll do the idafa. The title is actually longer than the explanation, but never mind. Idafa, jam' al-taksir. Okay. So we're going to do idafa jam' al-taksir wa al-jam'u al-mu'annathu as-salim. So we're going to look at the broken plural and the female plural. Now, when these two come into a mudaf mudaf ilay, nothing changes. They behave exactly the same. So if I want to say the house is of the men, yeah, I would say buyut al-rijali. So there is nothing new there at all, yeah? Buyut, buyut al-rijal, the houses of the men. So that's your broken plural example. Now, if I wanted to use the female plural example, and I want to say, let's say, the gatherings of the female teachers. Okay, the gatherings, a gathering, ijtima'un. Okay, and the plural of ijtima'un is ijtima'atun. Okay, so let me do that one again. So it'd be ijtima'at. Ijtima'atu. Okay, so that's gatherings, ijtima'atu, and then we want female teachers, which is mu'allimat. Okay, mu'allimat is teachers, and because it's mudafun ilay, اجتماعات المعلمات. So there's nothing new there. It is logical, straightforward, no problems. Now let's go to the next bit, number two. Okay. Now looking at duals and sound masculine plurals. Okay. But this time as mudafun ilayh. Again, this is very easy. Okay, so remember this time they are the mudafun ilayh. So if I wanted to say the book, yeah, the book of the two students. So two students. So kitab, we know that. Now, how do we say two students? And because it's mudafun ilayh, it's going to be jar case. So what do we have to do to the word student to make it dual and also make it jar? What if you go back, you'll be able to work it out.
Alif Noon. Ani.
Ani, you're in the right lines, but that's if it's rafa'. This is jar because it's mudafun ilayh. Yeah, notice here.
Yeah, yeah, Noon, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So always mudafun ilayh is always jar. So in this case, we would say,
Oh, sorry. Alif Tar. Okay.
yeah, so we would go with كتاب الطالبين. الطالبين. Sorry, I made a spelling mistake here.
Sorry. This is
الطالب.
Talibaini. This is for male.
That's right. Yeah. طالبين.
Sorry, I was thinking for female Talib. But
Okay, yeah. So you simply take the jar form where you add the one. So that's your dual. Yeah, so two, it's very simple. You just add the yani. And then if I wanted to say, for example,
dual Ustad is same for male or female.
that's right. The female would just be طالبتين. Just got a ta inside it. That's it. Now, if we do the plural, the book of the teachers. Okay, this time, this is plural, not dual. So the book, okay, kitabu, and teachers is muallim. But we want plural and we want jar because it's mudafun ilay. So it would become what?
Yeah, no.
Muallimina. Okay. Dora, when you go back and revise your notes, you'll see why. Dual is aini and plural is ina. Okay, there's nothing new here. What I've given you here of this number one and number two with the idafa, and there's nothing new here. You've covered this already. There's nothing here to be concerned about. Okay. Now the next thing is where you need to just draw just a little bit of attention. Okay. Now, number three. So duals
Yeah.
and sound. Sound masculine plurals as mudaf. Okay, as mudaf. This is the only bit that you need to pay attention to. Very easy, but still need to pay attention to it. Now, just revising what we've taken before. We said if we have a word and it's sitting by itself, it will have a tanween, kitabun. But when we put this word into a mudafun ilay, yeah, what happens? So if we say the book of the student, yeah, it takes only one dhamma. One of those have to be removed. Okay, one of those have to be removed. So this here is the book of the student. Okay, the book of the student. Now, what if I wanted to say the two books of the student? So Kitab al-Talibi is one book, yeah? The book of the student, one book. But if you've got two books, so how do we say two books? Who can tell me? What's the Arabic for two books? Kitab?
Tabani.
Yeah, kitabani. Good. This time it's in the rough case, which is correct. There's nothing before it. It's not jar or mudafun ilay or mafulun bihi. It's not an object. It's just starting. So kitabani, and then we want to say of the student,
Talibi.
at-talib. Now, here's a problem. The problem is in the singular, kitabun became kitabu. One of the dhamma was lost. Now, in this situation, we've got kitabani at-talibi. Now, we need to show these two words are connected. So we have to remove one of the dhammas on the dual. Now, that you're going to say there's no dhammas. So what do we do then? To show there is a connection between the two, we have to remove the noon. And it becomes kitaba at-talibi.
You said this would make more sense when we read it, right? When we start reading.
Yeah. So with the dual, with the singular word, you got kitabun. But when you put it into an idafa, we need to show these two words are mudaf mudaf ilayh. We need to show they're connected. So the way to show they're connected is one of the dhammas are taken away, and it becomes kitabu at-talibi. So we've got a connection. Now in the dual, if you got two books of the student, kitabani at-talibi, they're two separate words. We can't show there's a connection. So we need to, in our heads, we need to remove one of the dhammas. There's no dhamma there. So we remove the noon. Okay, we remove that last letter. We will do that in the dual. We will do that in the plural as well. To show connection, we remove the noon. Okay?
No, the Jama as well, you said.
Yeah, we're coming to that now. Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. So now here, this was in the rafa case. Okay, the rafa case. Now, what if, let's say, let's go to the jar case. Okay, let's go to the jar case. And let's say that my sentence that I want to give you is in the two books of the student. So what's the word for in?
E.
Fi. What's the word for two books?
Katabani.
Kita. It's above you, kitabani, but we've got fi before it. So we don't
Kitabi.
add, yeah.
Tabi.
Yeah, so we would add a ya and a nun. Remember in the dual, we add, if it's jar or nasb, ya and nun. So fi kitabaini, right? That's the dual. Then I've got to do the mudaf ilayh. The mudaf ilayh here we've got students. So I need to add al-talibi. Now again, we need to do something because we can't tell that the kitabaini and the talibi are connected. So we need to remove one of the dhammas. Of course, there's no dhamma. So you end up removing what?
I guess noon.
Yep, exactly. That noon is going to go. Okay, that noon is going to go. And then your ya becomes much more obvious. And that's how fi kitabay at-talibi.
So Rafa case is noon missed and Alif came, and in Jari case Ya came and noon missed. You
It's the
noon
same.
gone.
It's the same. There's nothing that has right. So ani, you just take the noon off. Aini, take the noon off. Okay, so that's
Oh
that.
yeah. Okay.
You just take the noon off. That's all, and just to show the connection. So they're connected.
So the Ya become bigger Ya. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, when you take the noon, the yeah becomes more obvious. Okay, and the same thing with the
So difficult.
same thing in the plural. Okay, same thing with the plural. So if I give you An example in the plural, I say, what shall I say? Let's say the teachers. Okay, the teachers of the minister's son. Okay, so let's start with the first one. The teachers. What's the word for the teachers? Al muallimuna. Remember we said in with the dual, so with the plural we add the waw nun. In the dual we add alif nun. In the plural we add waw nun. If you forget, you can always remember Muslim, muslimuna. That's in the Quran, right? Muslimuna. So in the plural add waw nun. Now I'll say the teachers of the minister's son. So I need to say the sons of the minister. I know this is of mudaf ilay, so if it's mudaf ilay, I can't have alif and noon at the beginning, so I need to get rid of that. So we've got muallimun. The word for son is ibn.
Minister Wazir.
Exactly. Ibn here is mudaf ilay, and the word for minister is wazir. Okay. So al wazir. Al wazir. Okay. Now, everything there is correct except for one thing. We've got the word muallimuna ibn al wazir. I need to show a connection. How do I show a connection between the mudaf and mudaf ilay? Muallim is mudaf and ibn is mudaf ilay. How can I show these two words are connected?
We remove noon.
Exactly. Same thing again. We need to get rid of the nun. So you're left with muallimu ibn al-wazir. Okay. And with that, we have covered duals and plurals, alhamdulillah. Now, I know there's a lot of information there, but when you go back and have a look at it, you'll realize it's actually not that much. Okay. It just looks a lot. Now, the whole class, or most of the class, can be summarized in a table that I've given you. Okay. Yeah, can be summarized in a table that I have given you, and it's in Google Classroom and it's there in front of you. And this will be the last thing that we do, inshallah. So if you look at this table, okay, here is a summary. The word khulasa means summary, by the way. A summary of muthanna and jam, dual and plurals. So let's go through this together so we can understand it, and you can use this to revise, make your life easier. So if we go through the singular first, let's do the singular. Now, the singular word, when it is marfu', it will end in a dhamma, mu'allimun. A singular word, when it's mansub, meaning it's the object, it ends in a fatha. When a singular word is majroor, it ends in a kasra. That you should know by now. I don't need to explain that. Okay, you should know that by now. So then we come to what we took today. We come to the dual. Now, the dual in the raf' case, we simply add alif and nun. Huma mu'allimani. The dual, when it comes to the nasb case, when it's the object, we add a ya and nun. So, fahima mu'allimaini. And if it's in the jar case, we do the same thing, min mu'allimaini. So in the nasb case and in the jar case, aini for the dual. And then when it comes to the sound masculine plural, in the rough case, we add a una, hum muallimuna. Hum muallimuna. And then when it comes to the nasb as well as the jar case, easy, we add a ya and a noon, but this time it's ina. So fahima muallimina min muallimina. Last thing we do, inshallah, with this we will finish the female plural. Okay, the female plural. Now, with the female plural, it's very simple. We open up the closed tap. So from a tun, it becomes a atun. So in the rough case, we simply add alif wa ta with the dhamma on there. Hunna muallimatun. So it behaves normal. Okay, now here comes the odd one, and this is the one you're going to make mistakes on, is the mansub ki nasb case. When you've got the female plural and it's in the nasb case, you would assume for it to take a fatha, as we see in that. But we say fahima muallimatin. That's the odd one. Okay, that is the odd one. And then finally, the last one in the jar case, you will say min muallimatin, so female plural. So you've got this khulasa, you've got this summary that hopefully you can use and work out. If you get that, you got it. That's very, very simple. Okay, and I'm just going to add an extra sign here because this is the one that the female plural in the nasb is where people make mistakes. So that's your summary of what we've taken today. The only thing in addition to that really is that if you have these words, not all of these words, this column, okay, and this column acting as mudaf, okay, acting as mudaf, drop the noon. That's it, finished. Okay, if they're acting as mudaf, drop the noon. So what we just did here in the last 5 minutes is the whole lesson summarized. Okay.
And you did something non-human. What was that?
Yeah, so those rules you can go back and have a look at, which is basically non-human plural equals feminine singular. So where if you've got a plural but it's غير عاقل, meaning it doesn't have intelligence, yeah, you treat that as a feminine singular word.
So what is غير means that other than humans, anything other than humans.
Yeah. So something that doesn't have aql. Okay, so if I say pens, pens don't have aql. Yeah, if I say I don't know, phones, they don't have aql. So other than human
Skies,
beings,
like skies.
yeah, skies, trees, anything. Okay, so if you want to make it easier, the other way around is better. So not human beings.
Okay.
And that's it. That is the whole of the lesson there in front of you, inshallah. Don't forget to revise. And I need to give some of you, Fawzia, you as well, your homework. I need to send that back to you. Christian, you need to do your homework for this week as well. And there will be new sentences for this week as well. So do pay attention to that. And then next week, inshallah, we will carry on and we're coming towards the end of this. We've still got a few lessons, but means now we're just filling in the gaps. The bulk of stuff we've taken, we're now filling in the gaps. So next week, inshallah, we'll be doing numbers. Our numbers 1 to 10, 100, and 1,000. All right.
And
Any questions
how
before
about
we?
our homework? Homework? Are you going to correct that next week?
Inshallah, yeah. So we will do that. So the homework that's outstanding, I will mark as Fawzia. You sent some homework. I will get that marked and send it to you. And then these some sentences on the duals and the plurals, I will send those out as well, inshallah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Christia,
Yes.
sorry, I missed. Because of me, everywhere you missed the lesson last week.
No, Fazia, I was in Cyprus anyway, so I was like, okay, fine. If Fazia's not coming, it's fine. It's
But
fine. Don't worry.
if I join evening classes, would you be okay with that? Because I mean, I know we are together, like it works better. I mean, would you be okay, or
Yeah,
shall I?
I'll still be okay. No, it's fine. You do what you need to do. I have to do the morning classes, so Ustad will just have me giving him a headache for the entire time.
There's no headache, inshallah. So
Inshallah, I mean, I'll join evening classes for some time and then I'll come back because I got a few things to do. So I'll try my best to come morning classes if I can. So at least Christia, you are with me. Yeah, I'm with you. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay,
Yeah,
no
that's
worries.
fine.
Whatever's good for you.
Yeah, so just bear in mind that the evening class is one lesson ahead because last week of that. So
oh
the morning class. For the you know what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah,
All
but
right.
Ustad,
Yeah.
are you okay to give us like one behind classes every week? Like, is it too much for you?
No, that's fine.
I
So
mean,
it's okay.
I don't mind in future in one week if you do two classes in one go, so we you stay on same level morning and evening. I mean, I don't
No,
want
I
to read.
understand that. I'll work that out. Don't worry about it. Alhamdulillah, it's fine. So you choose what's good for you, and you attend that, and the rest we'll work that out, inshallah. Okay. All right. Barakallah fikum. Inshallah, we'll see you next week, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Stuff.
Alaikum salam.